everyone, it's Alyssa here from my kitchen on one of those days where I'm doing a whole lot of meal prep. I have this little pancake maker. Have you ever seen these? I made little egg sandwiches for myself for the whole week. I just made some quinoa, which I'm going to use in the recipe today, and then I'll have it for the rest of the week. So a ton of meal prep going on in here for this week's box. What did I get this week? I got turnips with the lovely greens still attached. Remember, you can use those greens. Carrots, sweet potatoes. Did you guys see those sweet potatoes? They're huge. Beets and cilantro. The beets and the cilantro, I believe, are in the recipe that I'm using this week. Let's see, what are some ideas for this week's boxes? So the cookbook is currently holding up my camera, but Nom Nom Paleo, Food for Humans, the red one, the first one, by Michelle Tam, has a really good recipe for carrot and cardamom soup. So that is actually going to be my weekend cozy thing. I'm gonna make that over the weekend in a nice big batch. It just sounds really good. It's really easy. It's carrots, leeks, cardamom, chicken stock, a couple of other things, but for the most part, that's it. It sounds really easy. We have all three of her cookbooks at the library. Another cookbook, it's from Michael Symon. It's called Fix It with Food. So for people who have food sensitivities, this is one of those cookbooks that just focuses on whole food eating, which is great, and it's the way that I eat usually. I still have some spinach left from last week. This sounds really good. Spinach salad with shaved beets and apples. It's almonds, honey, Dijon mustard, your spinach, your beets, and an apple. And that's it, a really simple, fresh salad. For our giant sweet potatoes, baked sweet potato with kale and walnut pesto, if you still have some kale left over. So it's just, I'll show you, just a simple baked sweet potato. And then you fill it with that walnut pesto filling. And also, if you can't eat dairy, he does have a recipe for like a faux Parmesan cheese, if you're vegan or you don't eat dairy. So that's really cool. Barbecue glazed carrots with almond, cilantro, quinoa. So this is my recipe for my side dish for tonight. I'm not going to use all of the carrots because, like I said, I do want to save some to make some soup later this week or maybe over the weekend. So I'm just going to make a small portion. So I'll go through the specifics of it. But you grab your favorite barbecue sauce and then you work with, oh yeah, I'm not using beets, I'm using carrots. All right. I think I saw so many recipes with beets that I thought I was going to do that. Yes, so carrots, and I have some slivered almonds. You roast them, we'll go through the whole thing. But I did make some quinoa so that I have a really nice whole grain available for my meal prep this week. This next cookbook is called Naturally Nourished. It's by Britton. Healthy, delicious meals made with everyday ingredients. So the first one, again, we're getting into soup season. Again, features kale or spinach, whichever you may have from your box, and carrots, and also a plethora of other fresh things. Thyme, rosemary, leeks, red onions. I saw red onions are in some people's boxes. Garlic cloves, I still have a ton of garlic. And then, you know, you grab a can of beans and some pasta and some fresh herbs, and you make like a nice fall seasoned minestrone. As opposed to the opposite page has a summer minestrone, which has celery, bell pepper, green beans, and those sorts of things. This sounds really great. If you are tired of your beets, you don't know what to do with beets, we've gotten a lot of beets. I really like them. This is a red velvet roasted garlic and beet soup with a mustard spiked yogurt. So I'll show you. You swirl the yogurt in at the end. Right, so that is a beet soup. That is a really red soup, but it sounds so good. It's beets, garlic, leeks, coconut oil. You could probably use avocado oil, thyme, bay leaves, broth, little lemon juice for acidity, some yogurt, and Dijon. no, maybe this was what I wanted to do. Okay, so I had 2 quinoa recipes that sounded so good that I got them confused in my head. This one also sounds awesome. So a lemony raw beet and quinoa salad with dill and olives. And this is great because you don't have to cook the beets, and then it just makes it a little quicker if you already have your quinoa cooked up. This is quinoa, your beets, some lemon juice, a lemon garlic dressing, unsalted pistachios, a shallot, dill, and olives. Maybe I'll make a little bit of both because I've got the quinoa already prepped. If you have, again, more kale and more onions and garlic still left over, I still have 1 big fresh onion left. This is a really good one. Kale, mushrooms, and walnuts. It's just a big old plate of vegetables together. It sounds great. It says, this little plate is like a walk in the autumn forest. Deep, dark, and earthy. Mushrooms and greens, sweet and sour vinegar, and a light dusting of salty cheeses. Walnuts are a good crunch, but you could use almonds or pecans. So that sounds great too. Another one for the carrots, brown butter carrots with pistachios and dill. I do still have dill left over from a week or 2 ago. I don't remember. Again, the carrots and the nuts, just sort of like woodsy and warm. And this uses apple cider vinegar and Dijon mustard and of course brown butter, and then the dill. So all of these flavors, remember we talk about flavor balancing all the time here. So you've got the Dijon, which is really sharp. The vinegar cuts through it. The dill is nice and fresh and herbaceous, and the brown butter is really nice and rich. Right, was that it? Yeah, that was the last one there. So lots of good recipes. We're getting into those autumn recipes that are so good. All right, I'm going to decide exactly which recipe I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do both. And I'm going to grab my food, my meal prep food, and just show you how to put them all together. Really simple because my quinoa is already done. I do need to cook my carrots, so I'll get that started, and I'll come right back. Okay, so I'm scrounging together my ingredients for all of these things. I'm gonna start with the carrots. Right now I have my slivered almonds toasting in my little countertop oven. Just says, put them on a sheet pan, cook until lightly toasted. So this recipe shows you how to do the carrots on a grill. I am not, I'm going to use my little oven. No big deal. If you are using a gas or charcoal grill, he says make 2 heat zones, a high and a low, or you can do what I'm doing and preheat the oven to 300. So I have some oil, salt, and pepper, and then also we're going to add some turmeric, which was one of our Spice of the Month features quite a while ago, actually. It is a root itself. Okay, so this is how we prepare the carrots first. I've sliced them in half, giving them a good wash. And so they just go and get coated in our oil, turmeric, salt, and pepper mixture. I'm gonna grab my tongs for that. And they go and they cook until they're tender. Then for the last, let's see, during the final 20 minutes, brush the carrots with barbecue sauce every 10 minutes. That's assuming that it's going to take you a long time. It says if your cook time is 45 minutes. This little oven is gonna cook this much faster, so I'm just going to keep an eye on it. When they're tender, I will go ahead and add the barbecue sauce. And then it says, meanwhile, towards the end there, you're going to get ready to season up your quinoa. So while these are cooking, I'm going to do the beet salad too, because that one doesn't require any cooking at all. So you can do that at the same time. All right, let me grab some tongs so I can toss these all together with their seasoning. Okay, so see, I'm just tossing these all around, making sure they're coated in the oil and the turmeric. And the turmeric will really help with that earthy, carroty flavor. Okay, right, they're all nice and coated. You can see they're shiny. Be careful, turmeric does stain everything. Okay, so once my almonds are done, I will take those out and I will put these on the sheet instead. Okay, I can smell my almonds, which means they are definitely done. And like I said, the beet salad recipe does call for pistachios, which I don't have, so I'll use the almonds on both. Okay, so now I'm lowering to 300. I'm gonna do 325 because I don't want these to take forever to cook. I'm gonna put my carrots here, and then we're gonna work on the beet salad. Okay, I have that set to 20 minutes, so I'll give them a check in a little bit. My almonds, delicious. You toast them because it develops the oils and the flavors. They're so much better that way. Get your beets, toss the beets with lemon juice set aside. The dressing, which is just some vinegar, lemon, and garlic. Shallot. I don't think I have any shallots. Actually, I might. Let's see. I do have this little frozen shallot. It's kind of old and dry, but still counts. Since I'm just doing a small serving for myself, I'm just going to use one beet. I'm going to give this a really good scrub. You don't have to peel your beets. The recipe does say to peel your beets. If you would like to, you can give them a quick steam without cooking them and the skin will come off easier. You don't have to, but you can really give them a good scrub. So I'm going to give them a good scrub and trim it and slice it really thin for my salad and get some lemon juice. Okay, so I'm going to just slice these up nice and thin. You can use a mandolin or a slicer if you would like. I'm gonna slice these thin myself. I don't really mind. These are the Chioggia. I'm gonna say them the Italian way. I don't know the correct way to say it, but Chioggia beets, so they've got the nice little pattern on the inside, the white and red. Use whatever beets you have. I know we're all still getting kind of a variety of beets, which is nice. I can already smell my carrots and the turmeric together. The best way to describe the scent in here right now is really earthy. It smells so good. Okay, I'm gonna grab some lemon juice. Remember that the acidity brightens up the whole thing. This is pretty earthy with all of these beets in here, so let's just brighten it up. I don't have fresh lemon juice, I'm using this. If you have a fresh lemon that you're squeezing, save the zest because the recipe does say that when you're done cooking your quinoa, toss some lemon zest in when you're fluffing it up at the end, and then those oils will really just coat the quinoa and you have some of that delicious lemony oil flavor throughout your whole bowl. Okay, at this point, you're going to make your lemon garlic dressing, which the recipe is here. I'm not going to make a dressing. I'm just going to use some oil, salt, pepper, and a little bit of honey and a little bit of garlic. I'm not really gonna make a dressing. I'm just gonna add it in when I toss everything together. So you want mixed green olives. I have the manzanilla olives with the pimento in the center. We go with what we have. And fresh dill. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit for a few minutes. I'm gonna check on my carrots in a moment or two. I'm going to get my barbecue sauce ready. You use whatever barbecue sauce is your favorite. I do believe that there is, yes, a Kansas City style barbecue sauce recipe is in here. Use whatever your favorite barbecue sauce is, but if you want to make a whole batch of a really good barbecue sauce, there's a recipe in here. Okay, so I'm gonna let these sit for a few minutes. I'm gonna check on my carrots and I'll come right back. Okay, I'm checking to see if my carrots are getting tender. I don't want them to be all the way fork tender, so fork tender when the fork goes in nice and easily with no resistance. If they were all the way fork tender, then when I'm cooking them with the barbecue sauce, they would just really turn to mush. They are pretty close, so now is the time that I'm going to get my barbecue sauce, coat them, and finish cooking them for another 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, I added my shallot directly to my beets because they're pretty much ready to go. I added my barbecue sauce to my carrots. They're still cooking, but you do want to watch it. There is a lot of sugar in a barbecue sauce, so you don't want that to burn. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab some quinoa. Right, I'm kind of doing this out of order, but I'm gonna grab some quinoa. I've got my almonds, olives, and dill. Okay, so because we're using beets, don't be alarmed if your quinoa turns a little bit pink. Kind of fun. This recipe is pretty dill forward. It says that you're going to actually do a whole cup of your chopped fresh dill. So you're starting with about a cup of quinoa, which yields several cups once it's cooked and it expands, but still, like a whole cup of dill, that's a lot of flavor. That's a lot of herbaceousness to break through how earthy the beets are. So I'm gonna put some dill in here and mix it up. My dill is getting a little dry, so I want the lemon juice and everything to sort of rehydrate it so it can release its flavor. I'm gonna grab some garlic and add that in, and a little bit of honey. I need to melt my, no, I'm gonna use maple syrup. You can use maple syrup. I think the maple syrup, because it's a little woodsier, might do nicely. So I'm gonna grab a little maple syrup, a little garlic. I'm gonna add that in, and my nuts. Okay, and I'm going to add in my olives. I have yet to season with salt and pepper because remember, there should be a dressing on here that I haven't added. So I will drizzle with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to taste. Your olives are pretty briny. If you're actually using a dressing, you might not need any seasoning, but I'm gonna taste it and then go for it. Okay, I'm going to mix everything together. I'm going to taste it for seasoning. And then that's it. Let's see. Needs a little bit more lemon juice and a little bit of salt. But the dill has such a distinct flavor, and it actually melts right in with those beets. So let me grab some salt and a little extra lemon juice. So you're not going to get an olive in every single bite, but the bites that you do get the olive in, with the dill and the beet, the olive is just like a really bright burst that cuts through sort of all of the woodsy and earthy flavors. So that's a great addition to this little quinoa salad. Okay, so I'm gonna put this to the side. My carrots look like they're pretty done. They're all nice and dark around the edges. They look like they're pretty soft. I'm gonna grab my mixing bowl that still has a little bit of the turmeric, salt, pepper, and olive oil in the bottom. And we're gonna start mixing up that salad. Okay, I have my bowl here. My carrots are all good to go. I have cilantro that I got in the box. If you don't like cilantro, you can use just parsley. This recipe does call for both. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to add in a little vinegar here, a sherry or white wine vinegar, whatever vinegar you have, balsam, whatever. I'm just using what I have, just a little bit. Some more oil. I already have oil in here. Let me grab my quinoa. Okay, now go the almonds, the toasted almonds. Cilantro, parsley, and scallions. I have dried parsley. I don't have any more fresh parsley left. That's fine. Chop up my cilantro, small pieces. Then I'm going to toss it all together. Then, as I always do, I will taste it for seasoning and decide if I need to add any additional salt and pepper. All right, I know the bowl's covering the cutting board, but there we go. Got all of my cilantro going in. Scallion, okay. Toss this together. Very nice, and because the turmeric was still in here, that oily turmeric mixture, my quinoa is turning a very nice earthy yellow color. All right, let's see. Add a little extra vinegar just to cut through. Right, again, this is very earthy and woodsy. So in this dish, the vinegar is RCD. In the last dish, it was the lemon juice. Mix that up. And now my carrots just go right on top. This would look lovely if you were serving it in a platter. I'm serving it in a bowl. Okay, so you can see how my carrots have gotten all nice and caramelized. I used a chipotle barbecue sauce. I thought that the smokiness of that complemented the earthiness of all of our flavors. Okay, and there's quinoa salad number 2. And I did all of them pretty quickly, especially because the quinoa was already cooked. All right, so let me taste these carrots first of all, the star of our show. So good. The barbecue sauce adds a little bit of spice, a little bit of smokiness. The carrots are super earthy. They're well seasoned with salt and pepper. I'm gonna grab some of the quinoa, cilantro. So good. My carrots are still a little bit hot, but my quinoa is nice and cool, and I love the play on temperatures in a dish like this too. Very nice. This quinoa is the star though. This quinoa is so good. Okay, so there are our 2 quinoa-based salads using some of our wonderful root vegetables from this week, carrots and beets. So if you are like me and you like to meal prep, as you have seen me do, where I make a big batch of something throughout the week, make a big batch of quinoa, and then you have these different vegetables that you can dress up with different seasonings, little different things on the side, some nuts, different herbs, and you have 2 very different flavors for different nights of the week, but you didn't have to spend that much time cooking it because your quinoa was already done. Okay, that's it for me for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Check out all of the different recipes that you can utilize for this week's box, last week's box, probably a little bit of next week's box in the description of this video. I hope it's helping. Come check out all of our cookbooks. We have a nice big cookbook section. Come browse. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. See you next time.